Wild edibles in Florida. So Florida's a big state and has a lot of plants, both invasive and native plants, but today I'm going to be focusing on plants that you can actually eat in the wild and not die. So I'm going to start with a pretty common plant called the beautyberry, and it's called the beautyberry because it's a pretty attractive looking plant. It has these really pretty kind of purplish, pink or magenta berries that grow in clusters. And you can eat those berries. Usually birds get to them first, but if you manage to get to them instead before the birds, you can actually make some interesting foods with them. A lot of people turn the beautyberries into jams, jellies, they add them to pies, things like that. They're kind of tart, so you do have to add sugar to them if you want them to taste good. But besides that, they're pretty easy to find. You could grow them very easily. They're pretty sturdy, and they enjoy hot weather. So they're pretty easy to utilize. You know, if you're looking for some sort of wild berry to add to your cooking, the beautyberry is a pretty good option. And of course, it has such a unique color that whatever you make from it is going to look pretty interesting. The next thing you can get is blueberries. Blueberries are actually native to Florida. Of course, the types of blueberries that grow in Florida are a particular species. There are a few different species that grow here, and they all taste pretty good. They usually enjoy hot climates. They can tolerate high humidity. A lot of people just kind of grow them in their own yard, you know, instead of going out hunting for them, because, well, they're not easy to grow. They're actually kind of high maintenance, but of course they produce blueberries, which are delicious, and you can turn them into pies and jellies and things like that. Another thing that you might not expect to be native to Florida that you can sometimes find in the wild is the muscadine grape. Usually when you think of growing grapes, you think of northern climates, but this particular variety of grape not only grows in Florida, but also other southern states. These grapes are extremely popular. Again, usually the birds get to them first, but if you can get to them, they have a really good flavor. You could do a lot of things with them. You could turn them into, you know, jelly, or just eat them by themselves. And if you wanted to, you could also try growing these grapes in your own yard, since they are tolerant to the Florida heat and things like that, the humidity. Now, another type of grape, which actually isn't technically a grape, is the sea grape, which, as you can imagine, it's a plant that kind of looks like a grape, and it even produces these fruits that very much resemble grapes, but they are not actually grapes. You can find these a lot along the coast. They're usually quite large plants, and the fruit they produce, pretty tasty. The unfortunate thing about sea grapes is that they are protected, so you can't really harvest them unless you have a permit. If you do have a permit, you might be able to go and pick a few sea grapes, but if you go without a permit, you could get fined several times, so be careful about that. Don't be tempted by all the sea grapes you'll find along the coast. The main weakness of the sea grape is that it's definitely not cold tolerant. It will start, having some problems as soon as it gets near frost temperature. There are also elderberries in Florida that you can go after. Elderberries, of course, are famous for many reasons. A lot of people use them for holistic purposes, or just to make jams and pies and things like that, because elderberries have a pretty good flavor and they are filled with antioxidants. People have been using them for hundreds or even thousands of years, so using elderberries isn't anything new, but you do have to make sure you wait until the berries are ripe, otherwise they could be quite toxic, and it's also a good idea to cook the berries to also kind of destroy the remaining toxin that the berries might have. Acorns are yet another example of things that you can eat pretty prevalently in Florida, but in moderation. You can eat acorns as long as you cook them and prepare them properly. You can make acorn soup, that sort of thing. Eating raw acorns can be toxic, so don't do that. But as long as you prepare them properly, it should be fine. And acorns are very, very easy to find in Florida because there are quite a lot of oak trees. But those are my main kind of tips about wild edibles in Florida. Of course, always use caution when going out in the wild, and foraging for things. You know, if you're not experienced, if you're brand new, you might not know a poisonous plant from a plant that you could eat. So just use plenty of caution when you go out into the wild and do that sort of thing. But hopefully this video was helpful in outlining kind of the most common wild edibles in Florida. If you like this video, of course, leave a like and maybe subscribe, and I make a few videos throughout the week, so don't miss those.